Hi, welcome back. For those of you that were watching with Kris Belcher and I a few minutes ago, we had some technical difficulty, which I have come to embrace. It used to frustrate me, but now I've come to know that that is because we're making the adversary mad.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so we're ticking him off, which means good is going to happen.
Right.
So please, if you're just joining us, post where you're watching from. We're grateful for High Five Live for their opportunity given each week as we have this Women of Worth Wednesday. And for those of you that are regulars with us, you're in for a treat today. We are with the amazing Kris Belcher. We are so grateful to have her today, to have her share her story and her light with us and her testimony and faith. Every time I have a conversation with her, I walk away feeling stronger and better and happier and more hopeful for my life. And so that's been kind of our prayer for today. We became friends a few years ago when we worked on this book, I Can Do Hard Things with God. And I asked Kris to contribute her story, and she was gracious enough to do that. If you want to read more about her, she has a number of books out, and she's a popular Time Out for Women speaker. And her story in this book has touched readers all over the world. And I know you will be in for a treat today as we have this conversation. So please let us know where you're watching from. And let's redo what we started talking about. A little bit of your backstory. Would you share with our viewers
You bet.
what brought you to this point today? But in 5 minutes.
Okay, sure. We'll do a little speed growth video.
Speed growth, yes.
I had cancer diagnosed in both of my eyes when I was a baby. So at the age of 7 months, I started radiation therapy, and my vision was saved in both of my eyes, but it wasn't fantastic vision. The radiation and the tumors had left scarring.
So was it blurry, dark?
No, just not a lot of detail.
Okay.
Because your retinas are in charge of the detail.
Okay.
So
I would have looked wrinkle-free.
You still do.
This is why she's one of my favorite people.
So at the age of 7 months, that's when it all started. And I could see out of both of my eyes until I was about 9. And then I lost the vision in my left eye. My optic nerve died.
Okay.
And so I just had my right eye the rest of my life. And I read with a magnifying glass and other tools, available for the visually impaired. But went to college, went on a mission.
Where'd you serve?
I served an LDS mission in Kentucky.
Awesome.
And met wonderful people in the Midwest. And when I came back and went back to school, I went to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. And one of my friends from my mission introduced me to his best friend, and that was James, and we got married. We've been married now almost 22 years.
Wow. And 2 boys, 2 great boys.
We have 2 boys, 19 and 15. When the youngest boy was not quite even a year old, my vision started to fade in my right eye. And
you had really, at that point, you had served a mission with limited sight in one eye. Can you still drive? Can you still?
Not legally.
Not. Did you illegally?
We're talking about that.
Okay. This is why you join us for Women of Work, because we unearth.
No, I don't drive.
Yeah. So, but at that point, with just sight in one. Okay. So, but other than the fact that you had to use tools to read and see detail, you felt pretty independent? Do you feel like you were
completely independent?
Okay. And then you have a baby, which is perfect timing, right? To have it all change.
To have it all change, yeah.
And at that point,
everyone loves changing diapers in the dark.
Are you getting a picture of why she is, a woman of worth?
Be quiet.
So, you have a 1-year-old.
Yeah. So they, no doctors could tell me what was wrong. That my vision just started to fade.
Wow.
And finally, I just received a whispering from the Spirit that I needed to get a CAT scan. I needed to get a CT scan on my head. And then they found more cancer in my right eye.
Was it the same cancer that you had originally?
It was a different cancer, but it was caused by the radiation.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
So I had many, it was 5 months of just horrendous challenges and pain in every degree of physical, emotional, mental, everything was awful.
And you had
So,
a 1-year-old and then 3-year-old?
No, he was almost 5.
5, okay. And so to get through that phase of trial, what did you do to survive that?
Well, I had to take care of the physical problems first, and that took quite a while.
And you had to delegate the other things?
Yeah, I had amazing neighbors and amazing family. I had 2 sisters and my mom and dad that were near. And just a whole neighborhood of people that reached out and helped our family.
Which I think is crucial for every person on the planet to understand that hopefully it doesn't take a brick wall to learn how to receive help, right?
Well,
And
it's really hard.
It is hard.
My husband would come home and...
Who knew was in the house, right?
He's like, who folded my underwear today? So...
Yeah, really vulnerable, right?
You have to be vulnerable. And, I couldn't have gotten through it by myself, but even if I thought I could, why have that much more struggle?
Mm-hmm. So it's diagnosed that you have cancer caused by treatments from cancer.
Right.
And then what proceeds to happen?
Well, they had to remove my eye and do some remodeling of my brain. Or not my brain, but my head. I have an artificial eye that's made of silicone that adheres to skin. It's a little strange, but...
you have good stories about it.
Absolutely good stories.
Have you named it? Or is it just... No, okay.
Herb. No,
Herb.
I have not named my eye.
Okay.
No. I haven't even thought about it. I'll have to give that some thought.
Okay.
I'll call it GANEL-LYN. GANEL-LYN that sits on my face.
I love it. I'm always with you.
But it was a time of a lot of anger. I had a lot of anger, and I didn't have my personality anymore because I had 5 surgeries to chase down cancer in 5 months.
And babies.
And how am I going to survive 1 minute, let alone the rest of my life? And so it was really, really hard. And I've always been kind of a jokey person, but it was gone. And
so your sense of humor, which I think you're beloved for that, but was that how you were pre this situation and then it was lost for a time? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you weren't someone that wasn't very funny and then this has unearthed this beautiful...
Oh, my word. It's a miracle.
You lose your sight, you get humor.
Yeah, no, it's not even worth it.
No. So you get through this time, but I think people can relate, our viewers can relate to that. When trials happen, you do lose a sense of who you are, whether it's divorce or death or whatever, right?
I don't even think it's who you are. I just feel like there's a piece of you gone. I really have felt that, and it's not back.
And the trauma of just the physical surgeries and trying to keep up with everyday life.
I had to have a lot of training. I had to, after I healed physically, I had to learn how to even get around.
So what did that look like?
I went to a school center for the blind in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And every day I went and learned skills.
Basic things like?
Cooking and cleaning and walking around using a cane, staying oriented, keeping safe.
A sense of where your surroundings are.
And I had to I learned Braille. I don't use it very much. We live in the modern age where everything's
voice activated.
So many things. My computer that I use is all through key commands, so it's not mouse clicks.
So how do you do that? You just know where the keys are, so you can...
There's a certain program that you have to buy and install.
Okay.
A lot of there's some products that they have the accessibility built right in, like I have I have an iPhone where you can go in and change the settings and it speaks.
And it says my name really differently, huh?
Yeah, you're GANEL-LYN.
GANEL-LYN, which, I've been called that a million times before.
But that might come out of my mouth because that's what my brain hears all the time.
GANEL-LYN. So what was happening with your family relationships during this time? How did they adjust? Because they didn't have a school to go to on how to now have a blind wife or mom.
Right. It was a difficult time. We did have a few sessions with a social worker.
Good.
But my husband really wondered if I would come back, like personality-wise.
The person he had loved before.
So it was rocky, and we had to learn to communicate. We're still trying to learn that.
Well, that's comforting for all the rest of us that are still trying to figure it out, and we don't have maybe some of the challenges. So what was happening with your relationship with God during that time? Because the anger can really squeeze out faith, right?
I don't think it did for me.
Really?
I think the anger turned me to God.
Interesting.
Because I think it's because I've always had a relationship with God.
You already trusted Him.
Since I was a little girl. My mom was really good to teach me to turn to God throughout my life. We never pretended like I didn't feel anger or I didn't feel scared.
Oh, so that's huge. I think that's really huge because I think sometimes people of faith think faith looks like you're not afraid or angry or grieving or sad, and that somehow that equates that you don't really have faith, but that just means you're feeling the feeling.
I think that's a little tool of Satan.
Yeah.
I actually do.
Yeah.
Because if you can get convinced that if you're angry to turn away from God, then who's won?
Really? And then he's got a plethora of ways to get you frustrated and away from God.
But I'll tell you, I wasn't angry at God, but I was angry.
Yeah.
I was angry that my life had gone this way. It wasn't supposed to happen.
No.
And I was angry that all of my dreams were down the drain, and everything that I wanted was destroyed.
So can you share with our viewers what process did you go through to work through some of that? What did healing look like?
I did a whole lot of praying, like just in my mind, help me get through this minute.
I love that.
Not even joking.
No,
like, really.
I think you're right.
It wasn't even pray to get through each day. It was pray to get through each hour and pray to get through each minute.
Because you have diapers to change.
And I wasn't even to that point yet.
Okay.
I was still laying in my bed in horrendous pain. So I had, like, inch by inch, I had to make progress. And it didn't look like progress.
And I don't think it does it? I think we think healing looks like something that all of a sudden there's a rainbow over some part of our life and we're better.
Would that be lovely?
Yeah. I think healing for me...
Except I didn't see the rainbow.
Right. So for you, maybe it would feel like a warm breath of fresh air or something,
nice,
right?
Very nice.
Right.
Yeah.
But did you feel like you sensed healing had come looking back? No pun intended.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for all of us, I don't know for all of us, but for me, that's when you can see what God's done. I can't always, every day, still even today, I can't always
sense where His hand is and where it's happening.
But looking back, I think that's a tender mercy that God allows us to look back and say, look what I made it through with His help.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I could handle this problem, but God got me through it. So
within time frame, how many years? Your kids now, your youngest is 15, so this has been 14 years of your life. What point did you decide this experience needed to be shared in maybe a bigger way through books and speaking? How did that kind of happen?
It was probably 5 or 6 years later.
Okay. Were you still kind of going through it in your head and heart, or did the sharing help you find that part of you again?
I don't think that I could. You mean the
writing
personality,
and the personality
sense
stuff?
of humor? The first time that I could laugh about blindness was when somebody at church said, "Have you taught your kids sign language?" And most people don't even know why that's funny. Oh, nice snort on Women of Worth Wednesday.
Hey, listen, we're authentic here.
Oh, I'm going to snort.
That is the most hilarious. Do you guys get why that doesn't work? I'm like, let's pause for a minute. Sign language does not work when you're blind.
So
and it doesn't even help.
I said to the lady, why would I do that? And she said, so you can communicate. And so
we've got to laugh.
I had a friend that was with me, and she's like, she's blind, not deaf, you idiot. So I thought, I could start laughing. That
was it.
It kind of broke the tension of this is horrendous and I can't make it.
The elephant in the room.
And, it wasn't gone,
Yeah.
but at least there was a little crack in my armor of pain. You know?
So can you share one of your other funny, it's one of my favorite funny stories of blindness, the bathroom.
The bathroom story?
Yeah. Because it had, to me, I feel like one of your great mission tools is your humor. And it's for me, it's blessed me at times to say, can I joke about this thing that feels really, really uncomfortable in my own life? So,
some things aren't meant to joke about.
No.
And some people get a little bothered that I'm a little jokey about blindness.
Really?
Yeah. Because it really is.
For them, they're not to that place yet.
Yeah. So, I just had to laugh because I've done so much crying.
Right.
It was probably 5 or 6, maybe 4 or 5 years after I lost my vision. And we went to a family reunion up in the mountains at a family member's cabin. And by the time we drove up there, I had to go to the bathroom.
Really badly.
Well, don't you? Everybody, when you drive.
Every 2 minutes, all the women of Worth Wednesday know what we're talking about. Yeah.
We'll have a bladder control session on another Wednesday. Tune in with your weak bladders.
I love it.
So by the time we got up there, about an hour away, I told my husband that I needed to go in the cabin. Everybody else was meeting at the campfire. This is a Belcher family reunion. That's my last name, so I joke about that's where all the belching takes place.
See?
So he got me to the cabin, and I know the layout, and I know how to get around.
You had been there before?
When I could see.
Okay.
And when I couldn't see.
So could your brain remember, like muscle memory? Okay. I'm just explaining for those
muscle memory. And when you're blind, you have to keep track of where you are, and I don't do any counting of steps or anything. You just stay oriented.
Okay.
Takes a lot of practice, but I had my cane with me, and which keeps me safe from things, me running into things in front of me.
Yeah.
And I made it into the bathroom, and I put my cane in the corner, and I closed and locked the door, and then I pulled my pants down to sit down on the toilet. And when I put my hand out to guide myself down, there was a head of hair right there.
Right.
And still there's no sound, nothing.
No sound.
So
just a floating
just a head. So I pulled my pants up really fast, and I was, I didn't know if it was a short man, if it was a child,
if it was a
dog.
Yes.
So I told the little head, I'm so sorry, everything's going to be okay. I will get your mom, and
pay for therapy.
I made my way out of there, and I just got my cane, beat my way down to everybody else, and I must have looked distraught, because somebody said, Kris, are you okay? And
I need to use the bathroom, by the way.
Yeah, my bladder's really full.
And there's someone traumatized that we need to talk to.
I said, there's a head in the bathroom that needs therapy. I will pay for head therapy. So,
oh, dear.
My mother's just disgusted that I share bathroom stories.
I think it's such a relief, to be honest, no pun intended.
It was a relief.
It was a relief.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think this is crucial because, I think oftentimes we talk about tools of getting through difficult times as praying, getting blessings, fasting, going to the temple. We forget to laugh. I think that can be the first, like you said, for you to go. The first thing to go is we start to hold on super tight to whatever the situation is in hopes that we can control it. How have you become even more trusting of God through this experience?
Well, I because I can't see light and I can't function like I used to, my light has to come from God. And so I just pray for it all the time.
Oh,
I pray
love
for
that.
light, because you think of what light is: comfort, direction, protection,
Peace.
safety.
How does it feel to you? What does light feel like inside of you?
I don't know.
I'm your friend that asks the hard questions, by the way.
Light feels just peaceful, I would think.
Does it feel warm?
Courageous.
Does it change how you're breathing? Can you have a sense of strength, or how do you know?
Like light from God or
Yeah.
light from the sun?
Light from God.
I think just the courage. I think it comes as courage. I would think, like, okay, you can do this.
And as you're raising teenagers, which you still have one at home,
Yeah.
I think that's crucial to understand, because I think oftentimes, I remember one time you shared with me one of your boys, we won't say who, was skipping washing the hair thing.
Yeah.
And how did you know that they
Yeah.
were skipping it?
Well, every time I would say, "Did you wash your hair?" He'd say, "Yeah, feel my hair," and I'd feel it. It was wet. And one day, I told him to go in and get a shower, and I heard the water turn on, and I just had this feeling: he's not getting in the shower.
See?
It was just a little thought that came to me. He's not doing it. I don't know how long it had been since this kid had had a shower, but he sure had a lot of wet hair.
Oh my gosh.
And you
Kris.
might think that I would smell it, but all of my surgeries have killed my sense of smell.
Yeah, and I was going to share that.
So-
One day I ran into Kris, not literally,
Oh,
but
good. I
we
ran
were-
into you.
No, we were at the store and you were there, and I had a speaking event that night and I was really nervous. I don't know if you remember this. And I look like I often do when I go to the grocery store, which is not so pretty and not
Why
showered.
dress up to the grocery store?
This is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? It's my safe place.
Yeah.
And
In the Oreo aisle.
in the Oreo aisle, right? And I remember meeting you and having a conversation where I could confess to you that I was feeling a little anxious about how I would do. And then I said, and I look ridiculous, and by the way, and I smell horrible, and I'm so sorry for that. And you said, oh, by the way, I can't smell. And I thought, you are the perfect friend.
I am.
Because Kris will always make you feel like you are the most beautiful.
You might be stinky and grease head, but you know what? You're beautiful to me.
See?
So-
And I feel that, honestly, all joking aside, I always feel beautiful when I'm with you because of how your spirit radiates and my spirit receives it. And I think that
very
example of your teenage son, I think every parent of a teenager out there needs that special vision, which is God-given, which is you get a whisper on the most mundane moments, and those are the places where you kind of interact or check your kid, and then all of a sudden you're having a different conversation that could have gone on much longer, but because the Spirit said, by the way, this is what's probably happening. Don't we all need that as parents?
Yeah, and there's a huge dimension, and maybe this is another discussion for another
We'll have
Wednesday.
Kris back on, yes, on just parenting. How about that?
Parenting in the Dark,
Yes.
101.
Yeah.
I have really learned through, I call my oldest child my triplets because
Yes.
he's just exhausting. But
I validate that. That's all I'm going to say.
he's wonderful. He just takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
But he has turned my parenting style upside down
Yes.
because I cannot control, and being blind has whittled away my control of a lot of things. But parenting has also. So I've really learned that this is God's son.
And trusting Him in that process.
And you know what? I've made a lot of mistakes, and my son has gotten away with a lot of things that he shouldn't have gotten away with. Whether you can see or not, your child is going to do things
Right.
that
You're
you don't
not gonna
want
know
him
about.
to do, and
Yeah.
you don't want it. And God doesn't always say, "Oh, by the way, he's taking drugs."
Yes.
Or by the way, he just got somebody pregnant.
Yes.
Which it didn't happen here,
Yes.
so it's okay.
You're giving context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes I think as parents, we think, God, you told us this. Why
Yeah.
didn't you reveal this? And what I've come to know in my own parenting, I have a 20-year-old, is that God protects agency.
absolutely.
And He doesn't want to tell every parent everything that every child is doing, because that is Satan's plan,
Right.
right? And so, but I do come from a place of now seeing, since I have one that's out of the home, that those moments where I wasn't shown what needed to be shown, and maybe like you said, a child gets away with something, that's perfect for their growth. and perfect for my growth. And I love that you shared that. And I think we should have you back on just talking about some of those dynamics of parenting and maybe even being a wife that change because of the unique situation you're in.
Well, I do want to say one thing.
Yes,
that
please.
I've learned as I'm trusting Heavenly Father that He is all wise and all knowing. And He has had both of my children as well as me and my husband in His hands.
Perfectly.
And so I can try to breathe and just be in His hands, because God has worked miracles with my triplets. He absolutely has worked miracles. And there are more to come.
Yeah.
But I've seen that even though I can't control this kid, God has him.
And has a plan for him and you. I think that's a perfect place for us to end, even though I could talk to you for hours, and I may have a revolt from the Women of Worth viewers that we've ended. But
Charge!
I love that message. That is the universal message. And I believe why we have some of, if not all of the hard things we've got in life, is because God cares more about having a close relationship of trust with His children than He does about us having it perfectly orchestrated and easy, right?
We've got eternity for the perfection.
Right. And I love that you are a walking witness of this and everything that you do. Where can people find you if they want more Kris Belcher? If this was just not enough.
I'm usually in my bed.
Okay, maybe a more public way to access you. I know where you live, but we don't want to reveal that to everyone.
I have a blog that's not, I don't keep it up very well right now, but it's Hard Times and Holy Places at Blogspot.
Perfect.
Or
you are on Facebook once in a while.
Once in a while I'm on Facebook. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that are funny.
Yeah, there are great ones. If you are having a rough day, I highly recommend a dose of Kris Belcher. I've done it many times.
I'm having a rough day.
Okay, well, I brought you my
I'm going to go to YouTube and watch myself.
Yes. Thank you, Kris, for trusting God and showing us how to do that more effectively in our life by giving context to what it's like to not be able to drive and take care of things the way I know you probably always wanted to or thought you would, and then for that to dramatically change and have you come through the anger and come out the other side in a way that allows you to teach is a gift to the world. And I love you more than you can possibly know.
Thank you.
And thank you, all of you, for staying with us with all the technology issues.
High five.
High Five Live. And for Women of Worth Wednesday, please join us next Wednesday and share this video today. I don't think there's a person on the planet that couldn't use a dose of Kris and her faith and her humor. So thank you.